Hey children, here are the 10 worst punishments in human history. Number 10, the brazen bull. Picture this. Ancient Greece, around 560 BC, you've ticked off the wrong tyrant and suddenly you're being stuffed inside a hollow bronze bull. Sounds weird, right? Here's where it gets absolutely horrific. They light a fire underneath you. The metal heats up slowly, roasting you alive like you're the world's most unfortunate rotisserie chicken. But wait, there's more. The inventor, a guy named Perillus, designed it with special tubes that transformed your screams into sounds resembling an angry bull. So while you're literally cooking to death, you're also providing entertainment for the crowd outside. Talk about adding salt to injury. The kicker, the tyrant Phalaris, was so impressed, he tested it on the inventor himself. Karma works fast sometimes. Next time you complain about getting grounded, remember, at least you're not becoming a human kebab. Number 9, scaphism. Also known as the boats. This Persian punishment makes waterboarding look like a spa treatment. Here's how this nightmare works. They strip you naked, trap you between two boats or hollowed logs with only your head, hands, and feet sticking out. Then they force feed you milk and honey until you have the worst diarrhea imaginable. But it doesn't stop there. They smear more honey on your exposed parts and leave you floating on a stagnant pond. Sounds sticky and uncomfortable, right? Oh, it gets worse. Insects attracted to the honey and your, bodily functions start swarming. Flies, bees, wasps, all having a feast. Over days, sometimes weeks, you're slowly eaten alive by bugs while stuck in your own filth, suffering from dehydration, exposure, and eventually septic shock. The records say one poor guy lasted 17 days. 17 days! Suddenly being stuck in traffic doesn't seem so bad, does it? Number 8, rat torture. Medieval Europe really said, let's get creative with rodents. This punishment is exactly as horrible as it sounds, maybe worse. They'd place a cage or pot filled with rats on your stomach or chest. Simple enough, right? Wrong. They'd heat the container from the outside. Here's the nightmare fuel part. Rats desperate to escape the heat have only one way out, through you. They'd literally claw and chew through your flesh, burrowing into your body to get away from the flames. You're fully conscious, watching and feeling rats eating their way into your abdomen. Some victims took hours to die. The psychological torture alone, knowing what's about to happen, would break most people before the rats even started. And you thought finding a mouse in your kitchen was scary. Number 7, hanged, drawn, and quartered. Oh, I love this one. England decided regular execution was too boring, so they invented this nightmare specifically for high treason. Buckle up because this is a multi-step process designed for maximum suffering. First, they'd hang you, but not long enough to kill you, just enough to make you wish you were dead. Then comes the drawn part. While you're still alive, they cut you down and slice open your abdomen, pulling out your intestines and other organs. Oh, and they'd usually burn them in front of you. You know, just so you can watch your own insides become barbecue. Finally, if you're somehow still clinging to life, they'd behead you and chop your body into 4 parts. Display them around the city. As a warning, this wasn't some ancient barbaric practice either. England was still doing this in the 1800s. Makes you appreciate modern legal systems, doesn't it? Number 6, Ling Chi. Death by 1,000 cuts. China took the concept of taking your time to absolutely horrifying levels. This punishment used to be roughly 900 AD until 1905, was reserved for the worst crimes like treason and mass murder. The executioner would make small, precise cuts all over your body, carefully avoiding vital organs to keep you alive as long as possible. We're talking hundreds, sometimes actually thousands of cuts over hours or even days. They'd slice off pieces bit by bit, starting with less vital areas like fingers, toes, and nose. The goal wasn't just death. It was prolonged agony and complete humiliation. Photographs from early 1900s exist of this punishment, and they're so disturbing that they're hard to look at even now. The really twisted part? Skilled executioners were praised for their ability to keep victims conscious longer. When your job performance review includes kept them alive for maximum suffering, you know humanity has hit rock bottom. Number 5, the rack. Medieval torture device so iconic, it's basically a horror movie cliche. But the reality was far worse than any film portrayal. This nightmare contraption was deceptively simple. You'd be tied to a wooden frame by your wrists and ankles, then the torturer would slowly turn a handle, stretching your body. Sounds like aggressive yoga, right? Absolutely not. As the ropes tighten, your wrists and joints would separate. Ligaments would tear, and eventually your limbs would literally be pulled from their sockets. The popping sound your shoulders and hips made were apparently audible across the room. Many victims were left permanently disabled, assuming they survived. The worst part, this was often used during interrogations, meaning you'd endure this horror just to confess to something you may not have even done. And people complain about modern workout routines being torture. Number 4. Crucifixion. The Romans perfected this punishment and used it for centuries as their go-to method for criminals and rebels. You've probably heard of it, but the actual experience was exponentially more brutal than most people realize. After being severely whipped until your back was shredded, you'd carry your own cross to the execution site. They'd nail you to it, not through your palms like paintings show, that wouldn't support your weight, through your wrists and feet, hitting nerves that would send lightning bolts of pain through your entire body. But here's the truly horrific part. You didn't die from blood loss. You died from suffocation. Hanging by your arms makes it nearly impossible to breathe. You'd have to push up on the nails through your feet to get air, sending fresh waves of agony through your body. This could last for days. Exposure, dehydration, and exhaustion would slowly shut down your organs while you're struggling for each breath. Some historians say this is where we get the word excruciating, literally meaning out of crucifying. Number 3. Boiling alive. Multiple cultures across history decided the best punishment was turning humans into soup. Medieval Europe, ancient Persia, and even parts of Asia used this method. The process is exactly what it sounds like, and somehow even worse in practice. You'd be placed in a large cauldron or pot filled with water, oil, or sometimes other liquids like tar. Then they'd slowly raise the temperature. Slowly is the key word here. Quick death? Not in their playbook. As the liquid heated, your skin would redden, blister, then literally start falling off your body. The pain was so intense that victims would often lose consciousness, only to be revived so the punishment could continue. Death would eventually come from shock, organ failure, or if you're really unlucky, you'd stay conscious until your brain literally cooked. England's King Henry VIII made this a legal punishment for poisoners in 1531. Imagine being a medieval cook and knowing one bad meal could get you boiled. Talk about pressure in the kitchen. Number 2. Impalement. Vlad the Impaler didn't get his nickname from his charming personality. This Romanian ruler's favorite punishment included a long wooden stake inserted into your body and slowly pushed through until it emerged from your shoulder or mouth. The stake was often rounded at the tip, not to be merciful, but to avoid vital organs and prolong the process. Victims would be raised upright on these stakes and left displayed for days, sometimes staying alive for up to 48 hours as gravity slowly pulled them down onto the pole. Vlad allegedly impaled thousands of people, creating forests of the dying as psychological warfare. The mental image alone was enough to make enemies surrender. Some accounts describe victims still moving and speaking after being impaled for hours. This wasn't just execution. It was a public spectacle of suffering designed to terrify entire populations. Makes modern horror movies look tame by comparison. Number 1. Being buried alive. The ultimate nightmare that haunted people throughout history, and for good reason. This punishment appeared across cultures and time periods because it required no special equipment, just a shovel and absolute cruelty. You'd be thrown into a pit or coffin, sometimes bound, sometimes not, then covered with dirt. Here's where it becomes psychological torture combined with physical horror. You're trapped in pitch darkness, unable to move as the weight of the earth presses down on you. The air grows thin and stale. You're breathing in your own carbon dioxide with each panicked gasp. The panic, the claustrophobia, the desperate attempts to claw your way up only to have dirt fall into your mouth and nose. Some cultures would bury people standing up, leaving just their head exposed to be slowly covered so you'd watch your own burial. Death could take minutes or hours depending on how deep or how much air was trapped with you. Historical graves have been exhumed showing scratch marks inside the coffins, proof that some poor souls were buried before they were actually dead. This primal fear is why being buried alive remains one of the most terrifying concepts even today. So, there you have it. 10 of the worst punishments in human history that make modern-day consequences look like a walk in the park. Next time you think your life is rough, just remember, you live in an era where the worst punishment you'll face is probably a parking ticket. Now, I hope you're still able to fall asleep tonight after watching this video. If you want to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel. See ya!